Hello again, viewers. Jake here, and this is Reading Too Much Into Things, where I really want to still talk about anime. Here is a video on the animes I'm watching, why, and the animes I'm not watching, and me asking, why? First up, what I am still watching that's running from last season. Classicaloid, if you don't know, is a series about what seems to be a group of androids created by a mysterious company who have a power called music, which can alter reality, and who all think they're famous composers from the past. Hilarity ensues. Appimon, It's an alright kids show. I like some of the things they do with the plot, but honestly I'm not really sure why I'm sticking with it outside of it being a Digimon franchise, and it being a Digimon franchise actually annoys me. Oh, Dragon Ball Super. A lot of people like to put this down because it has a lot of artistic hiccups. Like, a lot of artistic hiccups. But personally, because of just how much more character it seems to have, even in its fights, than Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball GT had, plus its stupidity, I can still get more enjoyment from than GT's stupidity. I'm okay with it. Also, I'm excited for the upcoming multiverse tournament arc. Yo, you want a Gundam series that's about space politics? Why aren't you watching Iron-Blooded Orphans? You want a show that focuses on the horrors of a war economy? Why are you not watching Iron-Blooded Orphans? Iron-Blooded Orphans has more space politics than Star Wars Episode 1, only it does something interesting with them. It's not bland, uninteresting talks with space ninjas about trade negotiations. No, it's about arguing a union should have better wages and trying to lead peaceful protests, being sabotaged by the people that are being protested, giving the protesters guns. And then the guns turn out not to work, because it was all set up to make them look like violent extremists, so that they couldn't argue for better wages. It's about child soldiers. It's not just about, I'm a 16-year-old and I'm gonna pilot the Gundam. Oh no, piloting the Gundam is a bad idea. No, it's about orphaned children bought as property, getting their spines open up, and goddamn electronics jammed into it with the chance that they'll be paralyzed, so that you can plug them into the machine so they can operate it without being able to read. Iron-Blooded Orphans. You want space politics? You got space politics. You want child soldiers and the horrors of war? You got child soldiers and the horrors of war. You want the coolest space dad ever? You got the coolest space dad ever. You're not happy with this and you want to go back to the UC? That means you don't want space politics. What you want is a space war. Is a traditional style space war of the World War II variety. And I'm not gonna blame you on that one. That is compelling too. But don't tell me that you're not watching Iron-Blooded Orphans because there's no space politics in it. As will become obvious when I ever get to that rant, I am a nerd for Nobunaga. While other people could be nerds about the Warring States era, I specifically really like Nobunaga Oda himself. I have no idea why. He's one of my favorite historical figures, despite how much of a horror he is. Horror. So, and you have a comedy about Nobunaga hiring a little girl ninja and all the historical gags to come from that. Yeah, I jumped on board, and the show is adorable. It's like 3 minutes long each episode, and it's just rapid fire. And we're getting to the point where it's not all sunshines and lollipops. We can tell from the opening change. Things are gonna get dark. Now let's move on to the shows that started this season that I'm watching. One thing that you should expect to hear a lot for this season is the word adorable. And we're gonna start off with Little Witch Academia, which is adorable. Which I'm not surprised by because it's Trigger. They are really good animators, to put it bluntly. I just feel... it feels like less people are watching this than should because, well, people, it's Trigger. Only real disappointment out there was Ninja Slayer. Then again, I'm sure there are people who didn't like his neither because emotions and... Demi-chan is, again, adorable, but it's also kind of clever in a way because if you've watched enough anime as I have, while there's plenty of animes that discuss issues of racism, there's not really a lot of animes that discuss race relations. Why is it that the two animes that I can think of that do are this and Monster Musume? Not slamming Monster Musume for its content, it just creeps me out personally. Like, I don't know, just the style of monsters that they have in it, just, and the art style of it. Ugh. Demi-chan doesn't have that though. It has humanoid monsters, which is going to annoy some people. But it has just as much focus on trying to make this about how do they live their lives among normal people. Like, there being welfare centers for specifically them, or government assistance for certain things, or talking about how the Dullahan girl feels awkward because whenever she talks about having to carry her head, everyone else feels like they talked about something they shouldn't and change the subject. Also, Succubus-san is a good adult. Maid Dragon, which is adorable, is one of the animes that really puts into my mind why one would watch an anime of something as opposed to reading the manga. While you can get through a lot more in manga, and so it can also cover a wider story. If there's ever any action in it, I'm sorry, but anime is going to convey it better. Even with JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, that can get very confusing in the manga. And Maid Dragon is just... you can tell it's adorable, but there are these moments when they have the said dragon suddenly start to pull out dragon powers and playing with other dragons that just look amazing in animation. They really do. Konosuba Season 2. If you watched Season 1, you know why I would stick with Season 2 unless you hated it, because that structure of the sentence didn't really work. If you've watched Season 1, you know what Konosuba is, and how it's a lampooning of guys stuck in fantasy world tropes and setting. It's a bit mean-spirited and harsh, but that's because the characters that we are following are the opposite of what you'd get in an actual trapped in another world story, i.e., not the best and coolest people out there who all can solve the problems by themselves. No, these guys are kind of jerks. They're jerks to themselves. They're jerks because they won't fix their social problems. They're jerks to each other. Jerks to society. But it also shows that even if you're a jerk, that doesn't make you the scum of the earth. You're just a person trying to get by in the world. And yeah, those are the slim pickings for this season for me. Which at least will give me a chance to catch up on some of my anime backlog. Now, before I finish up the video, there are some animes out there that I watched the first episode of and noticed that other people are fully into. And I just, I'm not going to say it's wrong that you are watching them or liking them, and I'll go into depth why I don't like them, but I just have to ask, why? I mean, a part of me knows why people are watching this one. But why? It's a show about a horrible person who early in life was a spoiled rich kid who thought he could get away with anything because he was rich, who grew up into a narcissistic teenager who thinks he can get away with anything because he's handsome. And what he's trying to do is make a horrible girl fall for him so he can reject her like she rejected him when he was a small, tubby, rich kid. And just, I don't care! They're bad people! They're bad, mean people! And the show seems to agree with our main character that because he's hot, he can get away with things. Despite the fact that a lot of the characters are drawn exactly similarly to our main character. If they are not exactly hot, they'll be accused of peeping when it was really him who was peeping, or turn into violent psychopaths who attack the horrible main girl. Why? Why are people enjoying this? Is it because they're laughing at how horrible these people are? I don't want to watch these people, because it's a romance story about them learning to love each other, or at least it will be revealed at the end that they love each other, and I don't care because they're horrible! Okay. I'm not gonna shout why on this one, because I know a lot of people are watching it because they're laughing at how terrible and evil the little witch, who is a reincarnation of a terrible, faithless Japanese HR department head. But I want you to consider something. First episode, when we're introduced to this weird fusion of World War I and World War II, and we're shown the horrors of war. German soldiers come up from their trenches, charge in, and are mowed down unceremoniously and gooily to show us the horrors of war. And we follow this one guy, and he's staring, and he's shocked, and he's horrified, and oh my god, the carnage. And he looks up, and he sees 3 French soldiers pointing their guns at him, ready to mow him down. And they have the same evil, animalistic grin as the main title evil character. And when they die, we don't get, oh my god, war is horrible, gooey exposition. No, there's explosion near them and they're dead and we move on. Are you seeing the problem with this? So, I admittedly got about 5 minutes into this show. So there could have been something in the rest of the episode that brought it around, but apparently a lot of people are liking it because it's a romance story about hating yourself while you're in a relationship. Why? It's a show about a girl who's upset that she can't be with her brother teacher, so she instead makes out with a guy who's upset that he's not with the teacher that the main girl's brother teacher has the hots for. And they do each other. And while they're doing each other, they say the other person's name, and they're okay with this because they have low standards, because they're, I guess, the scum of the earth, because the show's called Scum's Wish. Why? Is it like watching Game of Thrones, where it's like, ooh, look at the terrible people, let's watch them do the terrible thing again? Why? I know no one should be watching this because, oh, it's a good show. It is literally, visually, technically a horrible disaster. Oh, handshakers. I salute my friends at Sugar Punch for sitting through and doing damage reports on this. They are braver men than I, and, taught more and understand visual art more than I do because I literally cannot draw. Can still make something more visually appealing than Handshakers, though, and that's a look at this season. Thank you for watching another Reading Too Much Into Things video. I'm Jake, and as always, stay safe. Bye!